In today's era where spiritual life is of interest to many people, the image of a mendicant living an ascetic life, begging for alms barefoot, without a home or property, often evokes feelings of admiration in the masses. In particular, Mr. Minh Tuệ, who is praised as a true ascetic, has strongly inspired many people when he declared to live according to the spirit of the 13 ascetic practices of Theravāda Buddhism. However, the current reality, with a professional security system, a logistics team serving on-site, and accompanying media, is causing the public to raise questions. Is this a form of misrepresentation of the concept of asceticism, when the name of asceticism is used as a means to build an image, while the nature is contrary to the Buddha's teachings? 13 ascetic practices and their original meaning in Buddhism. 1. The nature of the 13 ascetic practices Dhutanga is one of the ascetic practices allowed by the Buddha to help practitioners let go of greed, practice diligence, and reduce attachment to material comforts. In the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, the Buddha affirmed, "Be a lamp to yourself. Rely on the Dharma. Do not rely on anyone else." This saying lays the foundation for the spirit of self-reliance and non-reliance, which is the core of all practices, including asceticism. The 13 ascetic practices are not for showing off or making an image. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha taught that one should not practice asceticism for the sake of fame, for gain, or for the sake of being respected by others. The sole purpose of ascetic practices is to transform the body and mind, not to create an image for others to praise, or not to be attached to form. Buddha once emphasized that the external appearance is not as important as the inner mind. In the Dhammapada he taught, "Not shaving the head is a monk. If one is not sincere, does not give up evil, then one is still a common person. Whoever lives the true Dharma, lives a pure life, that person is a monk." Therefore, not just walking barefoot, wearing robes, eating one meal is a true monk. If the mind is still selfish, greedy for fame, and seeking admiration, then it is just a cover of a sophisticated ego. The contradiction between teachings and practice. A word before and reality after. Previously, Mr. Minh Tuệ once said, "No one can protect anyone. Everyone has their own karma. Practice by yourself. Liberate yourself." But now, according to some sources on the online community, he is protected by people, has people following him to film, organize logistics, ensure safety, and serve in all aspects. This is completely contradictory to the spirit of letting go, no desire, self-reliance that the Buddha taught. In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha taught that there are 3 things that make monks illegal. 1 is living on fame. 2 is working to have bed offerings. 3 is practicing for profit. If you practice first but still need protection, logistics, and media to go with it, then aren't you dependent on the world, fame and profit? The 2 Buddhas and monks of ancient times went begging alone. There was no entourage, no one to protect them. They didn't choose where to beg. Convenient, he taught, live like a deer in the forest, go alone, without ties, leave no trace even when being harmed. The Buddha still did not ask anyone to protect him who has skeptical views, even though living in the midst of danger, still does not move his mind. People with wrong views, even though living in a palace, still worry and fear. This is the courage of a person who truly practices letting go, not depending on material things or outside groups, swapping the concept of practice. 1. When form replaces content. When living in an abandoned house, outdoors, in the forest, with torn clothes but being taken care of with every meal, having a camera recording continuously, having someone to pick up and drop off, then that is no longer true asceticism. In the middle-length discourses, the Buddha said, do not judge a person by their appearance or words, but observe their mind, whether they are renunciant, humble, or liberated, if using the form of asceticism as a means to impress. It is against the teachings of right livelihood and right view, worshipping the individual, a danger. When Buddhists, everyone kneels down, praises Mr. Minh Tuesday as a saint, asks to see him, to receive blessings, then clearly this is no longer the spirit of self-reliance of Buddhism, but has fallen into wrong views and worship of the individual. In the Samyutta Nikaya, Buddha taught, whoever sees the Dharma sees the Tathagata. Whoever sees the Tathagata but does not see the Dharma has not truly seen the Tathagata. This warns that anyone who is idolized, whether an ascetic practitioner or a famous Zen master, can become an obstacle if others cling to the form, do not see the Dharma, practice or perform. When practice becomes a series of organized activities, with a communication plan, with a service department, then it cannot be called true asceticism. True asceticism is to endure cold, heat, hunger, thirst by oneself. One cuts off one's own desires, without letting anyone else worry for one. The Buddha once said in the Dhammapada, one does evil by oneself, one pollutes oneself. One does not do evil by oneself, one purifies oneself. Purity or impurity is up to you. No one is pure. If you practice and need someone to protect you, someone to serve you, someone to praise you, then you are living off of others, contrary to the spirit of walking low and walking. Second, losing the ability to avoid views, sowing delusion. The serious consequence is that people mistakenly think that practicing is an image, not the content. Avoiding the Dharma, chasing after individuals. Unable to distinguish right from wrong, what is to avoid, what is evil. Buddha warned in the Kalama Sutra, don't believe because that person is famous. Don't believe because many people follow. Observe carefully what leads to compassion, wisdom, liberation, then follow. What leads to attachment, fear, and sameness, then avoid. Still learning to practice according to Buddha's teachings. This is a saying that Mr. Minh Tuesday often says when someone wants to understand him. Is this a defensive statement that can be used to justify actions? To avoid criticism or conceal motives? This sentence does not really prove that the mind has eliminated greed, anger, and ignorance. On the contrary, if actual actions show that one is still attached to fame, praise, and self-protection, then the saying is just a clever cover for the sophisticated ego. The Buddha taught that it is not true to speak the Dharma that one is a practitioner, but to live according to the Dharma that one is truly practicing. Therefore, his words can be accepted by the public. But if the mind and actions are contrary to the Dharma, then those words become a tool of sophistry, to cover up inner afflictions. In short, the Dharma of asceticism is a noble path of practice, not for those who lack inner strength. But if someone borrows the name of asceticism to create an image, build prestige, be protected, and be praised, then that is not practicing. The Buddha taught that a pure mind is Buddha. Whoever lives with a mind of letting go is close to Buddha, even if Buddha is very far away. Therefore, true practice does not lie in bare feet, but in a mind that is no longer entangled. No need for anyone to praise, no need for anyone to protect, no need for anyone to praise. Just quietly practice, silently eliminate afflictions. That is practice. Every Buddhist today needs to be alert, not to be fooled by the form. Do not let anyone swap the concept of practice with visual performances. Remember the Buddha's words, the Dharma does not lie outside, but in the mind of mindfulness and wisdom, which are developed. Thank you. These are just my own thoughts. Not intended to criticize monks practicing the Dharma of the 13 ascetic practices.
The video ends here. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please give me a like, share, and click the subscribe button to help me.